Hey guys, welcome back to another awesome special episode where we're doing another caster's pick because the last one went really well, right? So this time
we picked all the things last time. We got it all 100% correct, I would say.
it was we did no spicy takes and kept it on track. You know, these guys are winning a lot. I think they're going to win some more. Although we did say that Lexi was going to do really well at the calling.
Lexi did right. Okay, well, the calling's in the past. The calling was a lifetime ago. We are talking about UK, specifically UK nationals, but maybe useful for Euro nationals as well, because UK's got a good meta. But like, what is going to be doing well in the United Kingdom?
I think
our nationals.
Yeah, 100%. So Tripp and Sean are going to be casting the event. I'll be playing in it. I am here to also give him my thoughts as well on the ground, as they say, on the ground, on what I think the meta call is going to be like. We would have had Simon, but you know, man's a busy boy.
He's a busy boy, and we thought we'll have the casters in. But yeah, Hamish, you know,
he's washed. What did we say last time? He was washed.
He's washed. Yeah, I mean, he said that Katsu was good. He said that Lexi was awful, and then Lexi didn't get in the top 8. So
what do we know? What does he know? Anyway, so let's kick this off again. Right, we're gonna go. I think we're just gonna start from the top, really, the tippy top. We're going to start off with Lexi. Okay, so Lexi has won, I believe, you guys have got the spreadsheet, 5 events?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So
one of
New Zealand, Sweden, like, it's still taking on, like, what we've got, 64 players, 96 players in New Zealand as well. So it's still taking some
New Zealand was
Icelander.
But Lexi took down Italy, France, which are 2 big scenes, I must say, and then a lot of smaller tournaments as well. We're talking more like smaller numbers, but you know, 96 in France, 96 in Italy. We know there's a pretty strong scenes, and Lexi took down both those ones. Sean, you were around at the calling as well. You were doing the blog. You probably saw and you were probably around in the room a bit more than we were for the calling. And I mean, you must have seen a lot of people throwing down Lexi. It was like one of the most popular heroes at the tournament, right?
Yeah. I mean that. I think it was day 2. I was just having a look over people's shoulders. No, at the very end of day 1. How many rounds did they play? Was it like the seventh round, 6th and 7th round? Every other table was like Lexi. She was just all over those top tables. So yeah, she definitely floats to the top.
Yeah,
absolutely unbelievable.
It kind of reflects as well that even with all the wins Lexi has got, the wins that Lexi didn't win, I'd easily say above 80% of all the games held, Lexi was in the final. Lexi was in the final of pretty much most of the events, apart from the New Zealand one where I saw it was Dash versus Kano, right? But all the other ones that I've seen, they took a win. It's just Lexi just sitting in there and easily getting like 2-3 spots in the top 8. She's absolutely crushing it. And from the calling as well, where none of the Lexis made top 8, but plenty of them made it into top 32, even top 16. There was like all the Lexis was just that one win off of getting into the top 8. I genuinely feel that they've adjusted their game plan now with this huge fatigue plan that quite a lot of heroes were implementing, like when we saw on stream, but like Bolton with the shield, right? And Dromai was also causing her problems. Dorinthia was causing her problems. Bravo was causing her problems by just blocking and blocking. So I think they've adjusted now by putting in more some codex of inertias and leaning on the codexes at endgame. Right? Yeah, and more Ice Quake as well. That's it. I think they mathed up and went, how much damage if you were on like 66 cards? How much damage can you block? And they just went, well, I will present more. And they can just present more damage than you're able to block.
And this is after the Bullseye Braces ban as well, right?
Yeah, I know, right?
Still.
I think it's just also just the sheer numbers of the deck, and I think people have had time now. We think about a more localized meta like a nationals. People have had a lot more time to build the decks out if they may not have had access to the cards before. Now are now fully playing those decks at full power. Prices of a few. This is something you got to bear in mind in a more local meta, is that prices of some of these cards have gone down a touch, so that these decks are a little bit more accessible, or players have been able to access this card, have a little bit longer to get a hold of this deck. Lexi has been one of the strongest, if not the strongest deck in the format, at least the strongest aggressive deck in the format for such a long time now. It's no secret. People have been able to get out there, get the things that they need, and like Hamish was saying, have adapted too. So I think Lexi, always a strong pick for a tournament like this. We will talk about the fact that it's not just CC, but for now, let's stick talking about the strongest heroes we're expecting to see. But Hamish, like what else? What about we talk about Lexi all the time?
So,
what else do you think we're seeing?
So Lexi is the litmus test, right? That's the aggro hero that is best deck in the format. I think that's not difficult now to sort of foresee that. So now we're going to move over to the heroes that are trying to challenge her. And there is a hero that is bullying them very, very well, and that's Icelander. So Icelander is just feeding off all of these heroes that are very good at trying to like take down Lexi. So this is where she is able to get into those top 8 spots really well. Again, like Tripp said, there is a draft format as well, so you got to practice your draft to get into some top 8 spots in the format. But during the CC rounds, it's funny because she actually doesn't really like to play up against Lexi, which is really, really weird. But there's so many more heroes that are designed to try and take her down. You just hedging your bets on, well, if I see one Lexi, which I'm sure I will, I could have a fair enough game into her. But everyone else, I'm genuinely feeling really comfortable dealing with. So that's the next hero, in my opinion, that is...
Yeah.
And it's really complicated. She's not a hero that I would say, yeah, go pick this up, right? And you'll do well. Like Azuri, you could do that with Azuri. You could just go play Azuri, and you could just take on Lexi. It bullies her so hard that it doesn't feel like you have to big brain math. Do I block this well? You just kind of go, well, if I just do this, she hates it. And if I do a frailty trap, she hates that. So it just does a lot of impact for little brain power, but it's still not an easy, it's not a free win, but Icelander, on the other hand, has to go through these really, really complicated motions. And I know this because I play quite a lot of her, and it's incredibly difficult to pull off. Not impossible, but it's just Channel 8 Frigid needs to do a hell of a lot of work.
I think it's more like you start with Hamish. It's Icelander plays really well into these decks that are trying to fatigue Lexia. Like that, if they've got great blocking cards in their deck, well, fantastic. But like that's not really what Icelander wants to do, right? Icelander's trying to deal arcane mixed damage. Sometimes you might have an amazing blocking hand, and then they come out at you with a bunch of arcane damage, and other times you might have a bunch of aggressive cards that don't block very well, and then it comes at you with like a wounded bull. It's exactly what we saw in the Iceland in the Sammy Pablo Pintor final of the calling, was this Pablo just drew into the bad block hand when Icelander drew into the good physical attacking hand, and it just shifted the life totals to the point that suddenly Pablo was in kill range with the Icelander. So this is it does feed on these decks. They're a little slower and give Icelander a little more room to breathe. And it's always been the case. What's the meta, which is Lexi. What beats the meta, which is a few heroes, but what beats the decks that beat the meta, and has a decent game into Lexi. So I think Icelander's a really hot pick. Like I think. I mean, Icelander's almost on a way out. Like potentially, I don't know the numbers on Icelander.
Well, 5 more nationals that are on the 40-point range of 96 players or more. When there's 15 in total. I know there's less now because some of them have been through. So there was 16 events. One of them was America, that was 100 points, and then the other 15 were 40 points. So Icelander just needs to win 6 at the time, but now 5 because she's won one of them. 5 of those events, and then she's done. I
think Icelander's a really good pick for UK nationals in particular, and I think we'll see I think we'll see Icelander in the top 8 again,
Oh,
alongside some
especially
Lexi,
with the likes of like Sammy as well being around. Like, I mean,
yeah.
has he adapted like to the change that we've seen, like Lexi?
I think it's an interesting one because Sammy's deck was was very kind of like the traditional style of like attacks and arcane, where generally people were going into a more of an arcane build of Icelander. But I think I saw the Session Blood guys saying like this is a real specialist meta. Like this is a meta that rewards people who've stuck with a hero for a long period of time. And I mean that's that's always the case. You're always going to have an edge. But I think things are kind of there's quite a lot of heroes that are in play, and I think that really rewards people who have managed to stick with a hero for a really long period of time and have mastered it, more so than just switching to something if you don't know the way the hero plays. So it's up in the air, I think. But yeah, I like Icelander. I like what people are doing with it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's Icelander. And then I believe it's probably safe to say that the next sort of brief of heroes would fit into the realms of Brier and Dromai. And I'd also probably throw Bravo into that mix as well. But we'll start with Brier because Brier's just now walked away from winning the US Nationals, and he's finally done it. She's now finally a living legend.
National so far?
He's the biggest Nationals.
What a waste of living legend points,
that's what drove me mad. I want to see 100 points go to like Lexi again. I want to get that pumped up, and then Brian just goes, "Yeah, I'll just overkill it." Just
win some random national somewhere. Now it's gone.
Yeah, now
but it's a really interesting kind of Brier, right?
Well, there was 2 in the top 8. One was the traditional Brier, and then one was this really hot fatigue Reaping Blade, Crown of Seeds version, where I think I was trying to summarize why I feel that deck is now suddenly become a thing. Why was this deck not a thing before? My take would be, when I was just looking through the list and just intrigued by it, trying to build that list up by watching the games like at midnight last night, and I realized I was actually there's not a lot of non-attack blue block 3s until we kind of got Warmongers in, and then I was like, let's have a look at the Rune Blades, let's have a look at the Elementals, where's the non-attack blue block 3s? And it turns out there was really not a lot at all. And then I was thinking, why are we putting in Sifs and Whispers of the Oracle and the new, what was it?
This round's on me.
Yeah, this round's on me. I'm actually going to pick up this and have a look. We got Burdens of the Past.
Yeah, we got a lot all at once because back in the Earthbriar days, it was kind of a shortage and it was a bit tricky with Earth. Like I'm talking big Earthbriar, like that was playing more of this and would play a fatigue strategy into heroes like Oldhim or Slow Bravo, because you have access to so much recursion through just some of the Earth cards and some of the package, and like you did have not a lot of them, and then we got Sift, and we were like, well, Sift's fantastic because it plays into the game plan as well, and then we got like Hamish was saying, we got a ton of them recently. These really efficient blues. Exactly what you want from your blues is to block 3, and then just even blocking for 3 is good on a card that you're using to pitch. And I think it was one of our patrons, Jake, was talking about like when you get great value out of your blues, which you are primarily putting in your deck to pitch, not to play. When you can get really good value out of your blue cards, you're very happy, because that's giving so much power to a card. Not only is it providing you with the maximum number of resources you can get from pitching a card, it's also providing this additional value by normally blocking for 3, which is fine, but in Brier, blocking for 4, which is as good as a defense react in a lot of cases. It just sort of takes it over the edge of being like it's not too good at all, but really good, like what you want in your deck. You want really good stuff in your deck, and this is doing that, and it's really cool to see. It's kind of a shame that's kind of out though immediately. Like I kind of hoped maybe we'd have found this. It wasn't even
broken either, because there's plenty of heroes. Like I think it just slotted in a very, very good opportune time where. Who is the most aggressive hero? And it is a ranger. And rangers only have a set number of, like, they've got a time period. They can out damage you, but they've got a time period. If Fi was like the hot deck, it just wouldn't beat that at all. There's just no way it can beat Fi. So it's like, it's now just slotted in right at a good point, but it's not one that would have stuck around, I believe, anyway. Because even if I turn around and went, oh, Viscerai, you could disrupt me a bit, but geez, oh man, once I get Mordred Tide Revel going on, that's a lot of arcane damage and physical damage. It's just too much for that sort of deck to deal with. So it came in at a very, very good time with not a great understanding on what its real strategy is. And yeah, it just smashed the US Nationals. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I just think it's fascinating as well. Like for a hero that is out, people are still exploring it, just trying to find ways of winning their event with their favorite hero on the way out as well. We saw it with like Oldhim. People, just drop Oldhim, even though he's still, even though he still hadn't officially gone, like hadn't been announced, I guess, when he hit Living Legend. He still had a little bit of time, right? But like, I don't know, people are still revisiting Brier, trying to figure out, and it's almost a bit of a shame.
Well, yeah, but I mean, even Oldhim near the end, the Oldhim we knew when he first came out, when he was this Ice Earth fusion thing. I won't go into it too long, but then in the end, he just became Bravo. Bravo with some Earth cards in it. It just goes to show the level of creativity people can get down to, and also the traditional Brier also got into the top 8 as well. But we'll move on.
Yeah, what I was going to say, well, speaking of, we may as well speak about Bravo, seeing as we just mentioned his name, and I think Bravo's still in a really good spot, like having access to that fatigue stuff to be able, and we've seen it. I do think maybe, I'm not sure if we've seen Bravo convert at any of the tournaments so far, just having a little lucky, which is a shame, and I wonder if maybe,
draft
Bravo's
maybe,
yeah,
so,
like
Kel McCree said he pretty much
he had
smashed his CC and just got wrecked in draft.
Had like another awful journey, like another big player again having an absolute awful journey to get to the nationals as well. And it's like, I do think we're going to see Bravo do some work at some point. Like the tools are there, but I don't know, maybe it doesn't.
But he converted really well into a calling where it's just a full-on CC meta. I believe that you can see Bravo do well in CC, because guess what? A Guardian is a very efficient class with a lot of tools to deal with a lot of heroes and a complete work of armor and a shield now. It's a very efficient deck, and Starstruck is real.
Yeah,
Starstruck is real.
What about there's not bad for most heroes as it was when it came out.
Yeah,
he just gets really chewed up by Icelander. I think that's Icelander has been pretty popular, but he's definitely a very good hero, and if you're very efficient with it, can easily clinch out a lot of games. So
and some heroes can work around it, like even like heroes like Katsu and Fi can just out aggro them and don't have to worry about the fatigue package so much, because I mean, Bravo needs to play kind of more full disruption into those kind of decks rather than just try and block out like they do against Lexi, like Hamish was saying earlier. Katsu and Fi can just keep on coming. And we'll talk about that in a minute in terms of like what I would almost want to call like UK, like what we expect to see in the UK, and of course it's going to be an India. But like, let's talk,
and then we'll go through
what we actually think people are going to play, which is like. But I think we should talk about Dromai.
100%. Dromai.
I think Dromai is still really good.
It's a tragic tale, though.
It is a tragic tale.
It's such a tragic tale. It's a hero that you look at and go, man, I've never seen a hero have so many answers and still just doesn't get anywhere. Like, honestly, every hero goes, I could deal with most of this. God, I hope I don't see Dromai, though. Oh, God, I hope I don't see Dromai. Like, every hero, even this Fatigue Brier, who won the whole thing, went, God, I really don't want to see Brier. Azuri. Brier. Dromai is just... He's a real bully that just doesn't seem to... I don't know. I honestly do not know.
I know exactly why.
Some big players like bringing her. There's still like some big players who believe in Dromai.
But it's not even a believe.
You should believe it.
I don't think it's a believe thing. I think honestly, like, so here's the thing, right? So Hayden Dale. I know this is UK Natch, but I'm just leaning on some good players here that they're talking the talk and they brought it right. Fano Black, Hayden Dale, Nick Butcher. These are three international players that are, they pull up, they show up and they get results. They were talking the talk and they brought Dromai to the field and they did really, really well, right? They I think Hayden must have even 5-1'd or 6-0'd his Dromai field, right? And he lost in the semi-finals to a Kano of all things. It's like, okay, okay, as you do a Kano, right? And then Fano Black, he just got the Lexi player played like amazing. I don't want to say high roll, but Lexi just went into full Lexi mode, and maybe there was some sort of like you could just break that down and look at that match and go, would I have done this? Would I have done that? Blah 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 blah. Because Dromai is a very, very complicated hero to play. So it is what it is, and we're going to pause.
We don't have to pause.
No, we don't have to pause because there's Freya. My daughter's now coming in as a Dromai player and interrupting the scene.
Yeah.
No, go on, Tripp.
I was just going to say, so this is the Dromai experience, right? So it's I saw this earlier on Twitter. I was like, top 8 of Polish nationals, right?
Okay.
We got 2 Lexi. We got an Icelander. We got Kano. We got Dash. We got Bravo, and we got Dromai.
Yeah.
And also there's a Katsu.
Right.
And who does the Dromai get paired into?
Into Katsu.
It's the Katsu. Loses to the Katsu. It's out. It's like, what we got.
I think that's the story, though, isn't it? It's just the story.
That's the Dromai experience. Is you think you finally made it, and then you get the Katsu, and it's like,
even Hayden just got, I've done it, right? I've done it, and it's Kano. Okay, what? Why? He's like, and then Kano just goes, I can just smash you out in one turn. It's just. I think it's kind of very like Dromai is one of those heroes that feels an utterly polarizing sort of experience of where you just walk over some players, and then when it's actually a deep like a matchup where you have to fight, I think the problem with Dromai is it's incredibly complicated to. Like, you think Icelander is complicated. Dromai is incredibly complicated, especially when you're going into something like Bravo. You can't just throw dragon and swing. You've got to lay out a really long game, good strategy plan. And if you can do it, you can win. But if you either walk in someone, if you're having a fight, it's incredibly complex, but you can get over the line. Or you're just destroyed. It's not even like a close game. It's like you are just wrecked. And that's probably maybe why she just doesn't smash it. Plus, as well, if you're going to do really well and you wanted to just pick someone up and just run, you pick up Lexi, right? Because
you can't do it, Dromai.
You can't just do that with Dromai. No.
Well, you can run like a very aggressive Dromai, but you're kind of losing out a lot on what the hero has to offer, and especially in this meta, I just think the super aggressive one just isn't quite cutting it the same way that just being able to pick up a Lexi deck is. But I mean, as we're coming around to it, I was going to say like there's a lot of like simpler aggressive decks that you can run as well, like Ninja, for example. And I think we have seen that in the UK. It's just there being a lot of Ninja. Cover the main heroes that we think are pretty good. And I think the only thing to talk about is sort of just a lot of people in the UK really love playing Ninja. And it's not just like any old person. Like we're talking some of the best players in the UK love to play Ninja. We've got like George Rogers always playing Fi, Leela Green always, not always, but often playing Katsu. And you've got to expect to see those players quite high up. And I think that really hits the Dromai matches as well, because you've got these players that are taking the heroes that are doing well, but they're bringing them up the table. And especially if you've got good players playing Ninja that are going to do really well at the draft as well, that brings those heroes up. If they just go 3-0, do really well at the draft, suddenly you could have lots of heroes mixing it up in CC, which you wouldn't expect necessarily to see at like the Calling, for example.
But it's interesting, right? Because, and I think just to sort of round out that point is that I think every hero has genuinely a matchup they hate. Like every hero you go really well, just not that one. Please not that one. And you could. It's almost like saying, oh, well, I don't really want to bring Lexi because, Christ, if I fight Azuri, I'm going to get wrecked. And it's like, well, just you no matter what you do, you probably may bump into your worst matchup, and that's just the way it is, and that's where someone like Bravo and stuff has these, like, maybe even, this is probably why they're taking Lexies and taking Icelanders and stuff, is because they're not utterly polarizing. They're just tough. Whereas that's probably with Dromo, like you said, with Danger, that's probably what's happening. And yeah, that's probably why they're having a rough time. And now we'll move on to some of the other ones that I believe now that are kind of in this other tier. I don't know what, this other place.
There's no tiers. It's kind of just like what we expect to see, just based on our understanding of the players we know. Like Sean, we're both from the London meta, right? Like we see people play around our meta, and there's always little things about London or like what players like to play in London.
And then there's the North as well. The North are very different.
Azuri.
Love Azuri.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But they hate Droma.
Yeah.
But they hate Droma. I hope I don't see them. Ooh,
I love it.
Well, we'll talk about it, Shuri.
Shmir's on a slight hiatus at the minute, but Shmir Sami, local armory player.
Local army player, Shmir,
Oh, yeah. Wins a lot of armories.
Absolutely loves Azuri, but he's going to be on hiatus for a little bit. But and it's I mean, what can you do? People love the heroes they love. And I can't really speak because I will die by right.
Rhino. Well, Rhino won a nationals, bro. That's more than.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah. What did he walk away with? I've got it here.
Finland.
Finland is a very good.
Bad,
it's a very stacked event. It's a very small one, but over half the field show up to Pro Tour events and genuinely do really well. They're not. Their event is stacked, and one of them won with a Rhino. But regardless, Azuri, she is the best hero that is dealing with the best deck in the format, which is Lexi. She completely just, well, why do you say completely? It's not good for Lexi. This is the ninja of Dromai. It's not. It just does not feel good at all. Everything you're doing is just completely wrecking your game plan, and but she just kind of does very, very well into quite a lot of the other heroes in the field. Not to say it's a loss, but it's a real good old slog just to get through all the other heroes, and you kind of will see a lot of the other heroes. It's not very likely you're going to walk in and you could face 3 Lexies day one and you'll probably do really well. But if you don't, and it's like, oh, it's Dromai, then Icelander, then Bravo, it's like, jeez, man, that's
miserable.
It's not, it's not an easy. It's a hard day in the office. So that's probably where Azuri kind of sits for me. I don't know about you guys.
I think you're right. I think that we could talk about a lot of these heroes in the same way, where they've got their good matchups and their bad matchups. And I think Azuri is a good one because you just expecting a lot of Lexi, right? Like if you think you're going to see a lot of Dromai pick up counts, if you think you're going to see a lot of Lexi bring up Azuri, but I'm just not sure. It's an interesting one. Like we should touch it. We should talk a bit more about this. How this is a CC and draft format. I think that does mean you can risk it a bit more and think, well, what do I expect to see in the top 8? And if I absolutely slam the drafts and I'm able to convert enough games in the CC, I can go into the top 8 with a deck that's really geared for winning the whole thing. Like I don't need to win 15 rounds of CC Swiss like you do at the calling. So you could pick up something like Azuri and think to yourself, I think there's going to be a lot of Lexi. I'm pretty confident in my Monarch draft. If I get a really good run and then I get into the top 8 and then I think I'm going to see Lexi in the top 8 or other heroes that I think I've got a good game into, maybe it's worth it because you might not be able to convert that at a calling where you're going to run into all sorts of different stuff that you're not going to be able to beat. But at Nationals, when you've got CC and draft, I think you've got to consider things like that. You've got to think about like what the fact that draft plays such a huge...
Do what all those Kanos players did.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a really good example, because Kano's a great deck, especially in the top 8, where you've got a bit more. Sometimes you've got a bit more time to play with, and you just think to yourself, if I can slam the draft and I can just get enough CC wins, I can go into the top 8 against heroes that might even really not know what to do against my deck, or they might not have a right AB loadout. And I mean, it's a bit late now. We've seen it come out the gates. I'm sure people are slotting AB left, right, and center, but. Yeah.
It's
Draft really does bring it all together, and
yeah.
it happens at a time that really changes up the Swiss, and you suddenly see like, what is that Bolton player doing in the top table of round 9? It's like, because they 6-0'd the draft or something like that. And it's like, that's what Nationals is about, right?
So with the Kano win, as we talked about Azuri, I think the Kano win is kind of in that same boat of Azuri. It's just bullying people that are just not prepared. And Dash. that hero being Tripp.
Dash is bad, man. Just wins.
I mean, again, like
just wins. Was it Australian Nationals?
New Zealand.
No, New Zealand was Icelander.
It was Australia.
Australia.
Again, though, at the calling, the Birmingham calling, it was going round. Everyone in the entire hall knew that Matt Rogers was
on Dash.
Top of day 1 on Dash. Every single person in that hall knew. And
that wasn't even Matt Rogers, was it? That was a different guy who was top of the tables, right? Like, because Matt lost to Canterbury player.
Of course.
The Bolton. That random
Bolton. Yeah. On stream.
Finley, I think. So, on stream. But yeah, well, there you go. What do Australia and Brunei have in common? Their nationals were both won by Dash players. We should have saved that one for the stream. Brunei and the Australia. But 128 players, and Dash took it down. That's pretty impressive.
It's pretty impressive. And I think it's just down to the consistency of, it's just an all-rounder deck. It's that good. If you just wanted to turn around and go specialized into, it's kind of really not hyper specialized into really anything, just kind of really decent against quite a lot of things. You know what I mean? So another hero that is, again, if you just probably not as polarizing as a Kano and a Azuri, because they're very specialized into their field. This one's a bit more all-rounder. So maybe probably bump Dash, a little bit higher than those two in their specialized fields. But you've got to really know what you're doing. That hero is not an easy hero to play. It's all about value. Yeah. Literally, that's the deck value.
Yeah.
So I think we can keep going, but I think we have talked about what our hot picks, but I think we don't want to keep going on. I think the more important thing is to say we have given what we think are our hot picks, which is sort of like Drumai. I think I'll take Bravo and Drumai are kind of in a weird spot for me, but I really do think Icelander's going to do well. I have quite high expectations for Icelander, and we've seen Icelander do well at other tournaments. But Hamish, you're saying like Lexi, you think is probably the best deck in format at the moment.
Easily, in my opinion, I think no matter what happens when you say, only one, it's only one near, so it didn't do very well in the calling, blah 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 blah. You see that thing play, it's not even close. It's not.
You don't
even
want to be
close.
sitting on the other side of it.
There's a reason why she's won 5 events, gets multiple top 8s, into multiple finals, and is the most played hero in every event. It's numbers, mate. It is the best deck in the format, and when a lot of people are doing the same, are on the same boat, there's a reason. 3 of a kind, Rain Razor, Endless Arrow, and what's it? Blood Rot Arrow one. It's and Codex of Frailty just to slap on top of that. She's just got some absolutely outrageous cards. It's not even close.
So that's like just around the corner then, or literally this weekend. I know obviously Tripp, you qualified, but will be commentating alongside me.
Yeah.
Boomer qualifying?
No.
My point is that you're in anyway.
There's no boomer qualification anymore. Right? It's 90 days. It's only 90 days. So
I call that.
You got to play.
You're staying afloat on water.
Yeah.
If you were playing Tripp, what would you be taking?
I'd be playing Katsi.
Oh well, that's because There's a reason.
Easy.
I know that you would take
Easy.
Cats. Well, to be honest, actually, this actually probably does tie in very well in the narrative of the whole thing of Nationals. It's not because Katsu is the best deck, and I think you know that. I think it's because you are the best with Katsu. Is that fair?
I think I'm probably better playing 5, but I think Katsu is better into the format at the moment. I think of all the decks that I think I play well, I think I would play Katsu. But I think Katsu's got game. I think Katsu can do explosive turns. It's not as good as Lexi, but I just don't really enjoy playing Lexi very much. And I think it's Nationals, like play something you feel comfortable with, and I think that would be my advice, is just to play a hero that you know really well. Like I would, that's just what I would do.
Yeah.
And for me, give it.
I was going to say, what would you play?
I'll be taking my boy Reiner. He might
why
not
not?
be the right choice, but mate, the old.
You know what to do, don't you?
I know what to do. I know what to do.
And that's the point. And there is a lot of people that do that. And to be honest, it's not. I don't think it's actually a thing that's very new and special for this year's Nats. It's just kind of more prominent now. But everyone before still took the hero they always wanted to take. That's why you see a whole field of random. Why is there one Azalea, dude? Because this one guy always wants to take their favorite deck, and that's it.
Azalea.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's going to happen in this. It just feels more. Hey, I feel a little bit more rewarded for knowing my hero a lot more, even though some of them are kind of like, nah, I still wouldn't take that. Like, I will turn around and say I am not playing Viserai. Right? And this is not even PsyOps, so I don't think I've got a week to try.
Yeah, I was going to say, we won't ask Hamish what he's playing, because he's going to try and win the whole thing.
I'm going to try. Well, no, I just, it's, for example, I know how to play Viserai very well, but there is some heroes that just go, yeah, it's just not a good time for this hero. Yeah, it's a bit of a rough time for you to be a specialist of these handful of heroes. It's a very icy top of the table at the minute. There's too many ice heroes. Lexi and Icelander, specifically the worst matchups for Viserai. Not a good time to take him. But there's a lot of other heroes that are mid-rangey, that you really loved to play, like Azuri, like Reiner, like Levia, like Dash, that just go, you know what, you can be rewarded for knowing your hero very well. So that's probably what's doing really well for that.
Well, we'll wrap it up there, but I think the last thing to say is we're going to be on, me and Sean are going to be casting, we're going to be on Tabletop 24, Baz the Bard's going to be doing the MCing. It's going to be a very similar setup to the calling, and we're really excited to cast these games for you, to cast UK Nationals. UK Nationals is always one to watch. There's always good stuff.
Oh, UK doesn't disappoint.
Look, we're just saying, you know it's going to be a good show when it's UK Nationals, because I mean nothing major's gone wrong yet, so it's going to be on the day, right?
Yeah.
But Living Realms is going to do an amazing job. They run the tournaments really well, so you're going to get maximum action and minimal downtime. So we are looking forward to doing that. Who knows what's going to happen on day 2? If Hamish and Simon are around, we'll almost certainly get them.
I'll see you in day 2 casting for sure.
A couple of games, unless you make day 2, in which case we'll have to be like Hamish on table 1, day 2, right?
If you see me in day 2, something seriously bad has went wrong for everyone else.
Well, you haven't got me to knock you out of the draft this time.
That's
so
good.
Yeah.
And Simon's in, and I tend.
Simon's there for you to feed on. Yeah.
Mate, if I see Simon in draft again, and he's going to be cursed, isn't it? Because every time I see him in a Nationals draft, I kick him down.
Right, we'll call it there. But let us know in the comment below, if we haven't mentioned a hero that you think is worth mentioning. Let us know.
There's a few that you wouldn't let me talk about it.
If you haven't touched, well, we got.
Oh, no, we need to
you tell me you told me tight 20. I bet it's definitely not been a tight 20.
No.
So
yeah. Man.
Right.
Good luck to everyone at Nationals.
Yeah, exactly. Good luck, guys, and we'll speak to you soon. We'll see you on the day. Later.
Bye.
Bye.